The state's largest free COVID-19 testing site is in Denver at the Pepsi Center. The city of Denver, like we've told you before, fronting the cost right now. That's racking up to around $11.7 million as of last Friday. And it's been helping people far beyond the city boundaries. We got to look at those demographics today. And in fact, a little over half of the people who are getting tested there are from Denver. The rest are from around the Front Range. Taking a closer look at those numbers, just over 68,000 people have been tested at the site. More than 38,000 of them put down a Denver address. So that's about 56% of the people tested there. In second place is Aurora with almost 3,900 people and Lakewood with over 3,300. People are also coming from as far as Boulder, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, and Fort Collins. While the city of Denver is fronting the cost right now, they're fully expecting to get reimbursed from the feds through FEMA money as well as the CARE Act. And then moving forward, the state and the city of Denver are planning on splitting the costs of what it takes to run that site.